Hello students, I have decided to record few lectures on object-oriented programming, and for that I have taken the reference book Object-Oriented Programming with C++. The author is E. Balaguru Swami. Hope these lectures will be beneficial for you. So let us start. I will start with the concept of object and then I will go eventually to the next topics. So let us start. Before I go to the actual lectures, I would like to say one thing, that these lectures will be from the beginning, and anyone want to know everything about object-oriented programming from the sketch have to go through all the lectures which will be uploaded sequentially. So let us start. The first concept is object. What is an object? Object is everything around you, around us. Object is everything which can be defined. Like you have your mouse in front of you, you have a pen, you have your laptops, you have your mobile phones, you have everything. The objects which can be defined in terms of information, in terms of uh, a composite body, we can express this is an object. So in our case, let us take one example of a mouse. So this is the mouse. So I can divide this mouse in two parts. One thing will contain the properties of the mouse, that is the information related to the mouse which explains the mouse, and another is actions related to the mouse. So what are the informations related to the mouse? The mouse, the price, the brand, the type, whether it is optical or whether it is a ball mouse, the weight, so there are many other information associated with the mouse. And what are the actions associated with the mouse? The click action, the scroll action. So there are two or more actions, there are many informations which we call properties. These are the two types of information, or two types of, we can divide any objects into two parts. One, we call it the properties or the information which describes the object. Another part is the action which are performed by the object. So in our case we have the mouse, and this mouse has two parts. One is the property, another is the action part. So any object has always has two section. One is called data associated with the object, another is called action or function. We sometimes call function associated with the object. So object around you can be expressed in this form, where object will be explained, object will be defined, the combination of two things. One is properties or data, or another is function or action or behavior. So let us give another example. Let us talk about a student. Suppose this is the student. So this student has two part. One is the data, another is the action. So the data part is which describes the student, means the name of the student, then the roll number, the college name, then branch, the phone number, the address, etc. And in action part, the student can write exam, then can play. These are the actions. There are many other actions eventually we'll go through. For the beginning, we are taking this very small example and very easy example. So we can take other examples. The actual thing of learning is you have to understand everything by the example, not by the theoretical concept always, because concept you are actually memorizing, you are not understanding anything. So in this case it will be better whenever you start any study on anything you want to learn. In that case you have to relate to real world. So we have started the concept of object. Let us understand more things about it, what actually this means. Because in object oriented programming, the subject name, object oriented programming, in short we call object oriented programming, OOP. So object oriented programming, see, object means the programming language which is around the object. So once we understand the object very nicely and very clearly, then we can definitely understand the object oriented programming model. We can write programs, and as example we are taking C++ as object oriented programming language. So object oriented programming is the concept, object oriented programming and methodology. And many programming languages are there which are actually built on the concept of object oriented programming and serves as object oriented programming language. There are C programming language called C++, there are programming language called Java, there are many other. So C is the motivation for developing C++. When you go through the history of this object programming language C++, you will find the Bijan Starstrup, who developed C++. He was one of the admirer of C, and from C he derived C++. And in C++, everything of C you will find the way we program in C, everything is there in the C++. It means whatever you write in C, any program is valid in C++. And with class means the object concept. I will come to that, what is class and how it is associated with object. So that class concept in C++, it came from another programming language which is called Simula. So that programming language is the backbone of C++. The earlier name was C with class, then eventually they changed the name C++. That plus plus means the incremented version of C. Here C++ is the superset of C, because C++ actually holds every concept of C. So any program, valid program in C will be valid in C++ compiler also. So you can run any C program in C++ compiler. There are many other programming languages, as I mentioned, as object-oriented programming language. Java is another example. So object, we are in the concept object. So you can find out the beginning concept, a beginning understanding what is object. So if there is a person, suppose another concept. Suppose if I draw a human being, so human being has two part. One, it can have some properties. The human being, the name of the human being, then the name of the human being, the address, then parent name, then phone number, age, then date of birth, then height. So these are the information associated with the human being uh, object. Any human being, suppose you as human being. So this is called properties, or we can call it data. So the data part of the object, and the function part or action or behavior, or we call it function. So this is the another part of the object which describes the function part. The behavior means, in this case, the human can run, human can eat, human can sleep, human can walk. So these are the actions. See, verb means it can do something. It means manipulating the object, means when human being is doing those, like performing those actions. In this case, human being is manipulating, or that object is manipulating itself. In this case, we call it function. So function is definitely different from the data part. So we are continuing with another example. As I said, if we start giving example, so the thing will be very much clear. In object oriented programming, if you don't understand what is object clearly, if we don't understand don't have the realization of what is object, then we cannot progress. We can memorize things, we can write programs, but the actual understanding will not come out. So object, another concept is called class. So class is actually the type or the pattern or the blueprint from which the object is created, from which the object is arrived. Or class, we can talk like object, 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 means any class or type is actually a collection of similar objects. Similar objects. So very interesting. What is class? So class is the concept actually which has come from the similar type, similar objects. When similar objects are being analyzed, then it is found that yes, that their characteristics, their properties are similar. So we can group them together and we can give one name, that is class name. We have talked about that you are a student. That is an object. That's object means which exists, which exists which exists in real world, in reality. So in reality, you as a student, as an object, you exist, means you are an object. You are an object of type student. So student is the type, and you are one of the example of the student. So student is the idea or the type, and you are derived or you are created from that student. So we can say any other student. Hope you understood what is class. So let us take another example. Because understanding of objects and class is very important in object-oriented programming, because every concept you have to take the object and class as example or as foundation. So let us understand class again. Class is the factory from which we create object, because this is the idea. Suppose you have an idea of a t-shirt. Suppose the drawing is not that good, but please cooperate. So this is the t-shirt. This is actually you have drawn in your computer and you want to make t-shirt out of it. So what you will be doing, you will be giving printout of that t-shirt on cloth, so your t-shirt will be ready. So this is the actually design. So we can say sometime the class is actually the design, the blueprint from which we create the actual object. So you can create a t-shirt, as many t-shirt as you want, a real t-shirt. So class is not the really existing thing, it is the idea from which you will be creating a t-shirt. So I have drawn here two t-shirt, you can create many more. So in this case these are the really existing object and this is the blueprint. So in object oriented programming, whenever we want to create objects, we have to create the class which actually will define the type or define the design from which we can create objects very easily, and any number of objects we can create out of any particular class. So the fundamental question remains unanswered, that why do we need object and why do we need class? So if we understand what is the need of object in object oriented programming, then we'll definitely understand both class, because class is nothing but a similar collection of objects and keeping the pattern or design. So it is actually the similar thing, because this is really existing and this is actually the type of that really is existing objects. So okay, so our question is, what is the necessity of understanding objects and what is the real use of objects in object oriented programming? So this will be discussed in the next lecture, what I am going to record very soon, because if I make one lecture very lengthy, then it will be boring for the students. So I'm keeping this thing in my mind and I'm trying to record lectures within 20 minutes or 30 minutes, one lecture, the length of one lecture will be. So see, there are many examples you can give where you can actually talk about objects, what is object, what is class. If I write say here the student, this is the class student, and it looks like this because this is the data section and this is the function or the action section of the class, and this will be exactly like object because it is nothing but the blueprint or the design of the objects which we are going to create from this class. So here these are the objects of that particular class student, and the name John, Maria, these are the objects created out of the student class. So student is the idea. When we talk about the term student, immediately we have an idea. The student looks like this, and the student is uniform, in uniform, having bag, and going to college. These are the different idea which we have in our mind. That is the total concept, and out of this concept, when we see real student, these are the objects. So this is the fundamental and understanding of objects and classes. There are many other examples. I have just searched for images of object and classes, so we are getting many things. So see, we can talk about this also, that this is the dog. We have dog 1, dog 2. These are the objects, and see the class dog having the attributes. Sometimes we call it attributes, properties, or data, and this we call behavior, action, or function. And we have created here dog 1, dog 2, dog 3, dog 4. So see, there are many other examples you can talk about. So don't go to the detail of these writings here. Just see the picture. Dog, we have a dog class which is the idea dog, and we are having three real dogs here with this information. So the dog, any of the dog on earth have like it is holding a similar kind of information, but there will be differences in the information, or it will be differences in the dog. So the color in this case, it is black, it is white, it is brown. So the breed, the size, the age, and these are the information which is describing the dog. And the dog, what the dog can do, it can eat, sleep, it can sit, it can run, it can walk, it can bite, it can bark. There are many actions which are associated with the dog. So we are here at a point where we have discussed what is object, what is class. Another example, suppose this is a car, this is the design. See, they have like drawn the design in a dotted form so that it looks like a design, and you are having a real car, Mercedes, BMW, Audi. These are the examples that you are having a real car. Suppose you are having a bike, so your bike, what you are having is the object, and the idea what you have as bike, that is the design in the company, in their manufacturing unit, in their computers, they have the design. So they are producing bikes one after another, means they are producing objects out of the class. So class is, in this case, is the factory, and object is created from that factory. So class, we can say, class is the factory, and it is producing many objects, real, and from their design. I hope you understood the concept of class and objects. If you have any doubt regarding that, comment, let me know what is the problem. Give me few feedback on the lecture. So thank you. We'll see you in the next lecture, where I will be discussing that what is the requirement of class and object in object-oriented programming. So I told you earlier that all the lectures will be in a corrected form. So it's not like this is a separate lecture, the next one will be a separate lecture. It will be a continuous one lecture. So it will not be possible to record the entire series of object-oriented programming, entire concept of object-oriented programming in one lecture. It will be of suppose 30 hours, 40 hours. So it is not possible. So it will be a continuous form of lectures. The whole lecture will be divided into many videos. So hope you will be going through each and every videos, because all the lectures are connected. At the end you will find what will be in the next video, because it's a continuous form of lecture. So in the next video I will be discussing about the requirement, about the necessity, about the importance of object in object-oriented programming, because previously we were in function-oriented programming language. That also another important factor and another important fact that we have to discuss, the function oriented model. You already got a subject called C. If you did not go through C, it is not mandatory that C is required to understand what is C++ or what is object-oriented programming. Still, I will be discussing what is function-oriented programming language. Then I will go to the object-oriented programming section with this minimum idea of object and class in the next video. Thank you.